In this video, we talk about how the man is always listening to us through our Alexa at our house. What's up, gang? It's Brian B.
And Miss Megan.
From West Coast Swing Online. And since we're doing this video live from the lockdown and we're all losing it just a little bit, I'm going to tell you a story to entertain you, hopefully, before we get into our advanced West Coast Swing pattern for the day. It was just behind the camera. We're looking at YouTube. YouTube has suggested videos. Some of those videos were West Coast Swing, Lindy Hop. Fair enough, we're dancers, right? What else was back there? Shoulder pain. I follow some websites online for physical therapy. I get it. One weird thing in the search for lawn care. Today on the phone with several different people, I talked about if I could make $1 million doing a lawn care website, I wouldn't do it because I don't care much about lawn care. But the fact that I was saying lawn care out loud in my living room in front of my little Alexa caused someone to listen in and serve me up lawn care videos on YouTube. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Back to West Coast Swing.
Back to West Coast Swing. I usually stay on script. So, back to the way we teach things at West Coast Swing. We're going to show you everything we're going to do today. We're going to use a basic whip. Boring. Then we're going to do a hustle whip, right? Then we're going to do a car wash whip.
Just wait, Brian will get dizzy.
Then we're going to do a hustle whip with an inside turn. Then we're going to do a hustle whip with an inside turn and a rock and go. Anchor step. Got it? So, the way we like to build things, and if you guys have questions since we're doing this live and since I've been totally off script already, please ask your questions to Mr. Benjamin. Type them into either YouTube and or Facebook, and we will get to your questions. But we're basically looking at a basic whip. So a basic whip, beginner class, check mark, right? That's what it's all based off of. I'm assuming you guys are good with that footwork. But moving forward, we're going to take a hustle whip. So hustle whip, we're going to take this hustle grip, two-hand grip, and we're going to lead our hustle whip, same whip as we did before, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So in hustle, we might call this opening the newspaper. So we take our hands, and as we open them out, we're going to be allowed to come closer to one another. Another element that we're going to need is an ability to steer our partner onto the right or left foot through the shift in our frame. So a good drill to practice your hustle whip or your whip in general is to see if you can lead the whip leaders and followers to lead it, or to follow, lead and follow from just the left hand. So if we did a basic whip, can we lead it just from the left hand? If we did that from the other side, this is a good drill to do. Can we lead our whip just from the left hand? You're going to find out that my body might have to shift and change as the leader to allow for that. Same thing. Can I lead the whip from my right hand by using our connection? So what do you think about both in the lead and follow if we're leading a whip from the right and left hand? What are you thinking about through this connection? Because that's going to go into what goes on in the hustle whip.
Shocker, I think about connecting.
Connecting, so you can buy one of Megan's Get Connected t-shirts in the description below on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go over to YouTube and get one of Megan's. I think you should sign that and put
I know,
Megan
right?
Anderson. Yeah, there you go.
That being said, in that connection, I'm not only connecting to my partner, but I'm also connecting to myself, my body. And that does not mean plastering your arms to your side, but you need to have a little bit of attention in all your muscles so that it connects you to your core and everything else attached to said core.
And this is like an advanced teaching tip that we use. It's going to be really good for the hustle whip for sure, and the more advanced pattern we're going to get into. But if I do this from behind, we're always taught, right, that the elbow connects to the elbow. Another thing that we teach here at West Coast Swing Online is there's a slight bit of flair to that. So if we need to take up the slack between us, right, one is to retract our elbow and take up the slack that way. Click. Another way is to open up the connection a little bit. So if you look at this from behind, just so you can see the arm, this is us connected straight away, drawing the elbow almost to the side of my body. This is us connected with a little bit of a flare. There's not much of a difference that you're going to see, but there's an engagement, to Megan said, through these muscles through the back of us, which we're going to use when we dance the hustle whip. We're going to need to use this flaring action to accomplish the hustle whip. So that is step number one. It's basic whip footwork for the leaders and the followers. Followers, it's almost identical to your basic whip footwork. Leaders, we're going to have to make a few adjustments within our footwork. I'm not sure what those are going to be depending upon your follower. 1, 2, the arms are flared. I'm going to allow them to collapse forward to allow Megan to go back. On 3 and 4. On 4, I'm going to have to make sure Megan's forward. Now here, normally I might step down line, but because I'm so far away from my partner, I have to be really small with my count 5, still using the flare, allow her to go back for count 6, and continue 7 and 8. If you notice, Megan was able to stop because we both used the flare and the elbow to create the connection. So we do that one more time. Ben is behind the camera doing this.
It's okay, I thought you were going to say the force.
1. May the force be with you. 4,
Yes,
5,
the
6,
day before.
7, and 8. So we take the hustle whip, but we lead forward on count 4. We're going to prep the follower to do what we call a car wash whip, which is this. 1, 2, 3. There's the prep of 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we call that the car wash whip because it's like the, what do you call this? The rollers,
Whatever
the
they are.
brushes in the car wash that roll past. If we do it from this angle, we have a 1, 2, 3, and prep, and then we roll past 7 and 8. So leaders, all I have to do is lead the prep on count 4. And if you guys have questions, you can ask them now. And if we're done a little early, you can ask some questions because I'm in a crazy
Yay,
mood.
questions.
We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's my prep. We're using the flare and the elbows, but I've prepped Megan. Now from here, leaders, instead of stepping down line like I would normally, I'm going to cut through with my right foot, and I'm going to cog my shoulder. So by cog, I mean I don't want to go straight side to the shoulder. I almost want to be in behind this shoulder to kind of push my follower through. Now Megan does a good job of connecting to that other side. So let's do that this way, and then Megan's going to talk about what she does that makes me feel like I'm a good leader. For a 5, I'm behind this, even with my body, even though this is 5, I don't just step on the 5. I'm working myself through 6, 7, and 8. What are you thinking about when you cog and you connect to me really well?
So this, a couple different moves between the different dances. You are going to spin behind the leader's back. And as I do this, I have a tendency to want to know where my leader is, first of all. So I'm kind of moving my arm out to connect so that I know exactly how far I need to connect away.
My lead felt fantastic, and sometimes it's not me. Leaders, if you've ever had an amazing dance and you think it's you, it's only partially you. It's usually because the follower is quite good. So Megan does a couple of these things that actually we only realized recently how she connects in these areas that make me feel like I know exactly where she is, right? I've done my part. I took the lesson. I led her forward. I started to cog. She went through, but she connects to my arm right here. And look at that. We're connected, and I feel like a rock star. So followers, that's your job. So that's the car wash whip. Now, what if we take a, it's basically a whip with an outside turn, right? It's a hustle whip with an outside turn for the follower, right? We do it as a car wash whip because it's cooler. 5, 6, 7, and 8. But if we took the right hand over, we have the same whip with an outside turn. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We continue over for 5, 6, and we anchor 7 and 8. It's the exact same footwork for the follower. Leaders, I'm just going to lead forward on count 4 to set up the turn. Followers, it's a walk during the turn. You want to talk about the slow turn for the followers?
1, 2, 3, and 4. So for a whip with an outside turn.
Flare in the elbow.
For a whip with an outside turn, it's not a spin, it's a turn. So you're gonna just walk through this. Walk, triple step. You're gonna stay with your whip timing.
So those are half pivots. Strangely enough, our ultimate guide to musicality, or ultimate guide to spins and turns 2.0 launched today. So if you're interested, it should be in your email box, an offer for the ultimate guide to spins and turns. We cover pivots in detail, and then as a pivot, your first fundamental turn, 2, 3, and 4. We pivot 5, 6, 7, and 8. In the previous video, we discussed a duck. So we're gonna add a duck to that hustle whip with a turn. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to start the turn for 5. I'm going to connect down. Megan's already done a good job. She's already flaring the elbow and connecting to me. So I can go 6, and we can go over the top for 7 and 8. Let's do that again from the other side. Any questions, Mr. Benjamin? Oh, we got questions. Good. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's the prep. Slow turn. 5. I'm starting to connect. I'm getting out of the way so you guys can see. We go over for 6. Elbow up. Anchor. 7 and 8. So let's take some questions.
Going back in time just a little bit, you mentioned that the one-handed whip was a good way to know if you can actually lead the whip. Can you walk through how to actually do that?
Oh, yeah. So the question was, we talked about the one-handed whip being a good way to know if I can lead the whip effectively. This is a great drill. This is one that one of my coaches made me do early on. So when we do a whip, we typically will go to the right hand at this point, and this is a great hand because it's the one connected to the follower, and it really adds a lot of ability for me as the leader to adjust the follower. What it doesn't do is force me as clearly to understand which foot she needs to be on and how I can communicate that with the left hand. So if I'm leading the whip with the left hand, let's do it once. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think the first step as the leader to do that is to know exactly where the follower needs to be. So I would go ahead and learn the follower's footwork to the whip. Go.
Oh, okay. So follower's footwork for the whip. You're going to step forward
and freeze.
Back.
So leaders, I'm thinking in 2-beat increments, right? So I need to lead forward and back. Next 2-beat increment.
The follower's going to go back together. So back, together, forward.
So leaders, if we did those two 2-beat segments, 4 beats, right? I lead the whip. We're pretty good at that. 1, 2. I'm going to get out of the way here. So leaders, I now need to feed her back for 3 and. That's the end of the line. And make sure she comes forward on 4. So that's what's going on with the left hand. So I should be good enough to go 1, 2. At that point, I'm restricting Megan. I lead her back 3 and I'm able to bring her back on 4. Cool. Continue the footwork for us on count 5, 6. The next 2-beat increment.
I'm going to go from the top.
From the top.
All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to turn around again for 5, walk back 6.
Freeze. So as the leader, I'm thinking in 2-beat increments, right? 1, 2, I send her back 3, and she steps forward for 4. I need to turn her around for 5, let her go back 6. I'm not going to cover the anchor step because we got that one. If not, go back to the beginner video. So leaders, I'm thinking, first I have to know her footwork. Second of all, I have to think about it in 2-beat increments. 1, 2. That's the first part. Then I need to allow or send her back 3 and 4. Make sure she comes forward. So I might have to shorten this connection. Then I need to rotate this, right? So if I'm leading it with one hand, it doesn't matter where my footwork goes. It matters where my hand goes. For 5, she goes back for 6. We've run out of space. That's our anchor step. So you'll find out as the leader, your footwork doesn't matter as much, but the concepts matter completely, right? So if we did our basic whip footwork, 3 and 4 side, 5 in the slot, 7 and 8, that is a great place to start. However, as we start leading more advanced things, that footwork might change depending upon where the follower needs to go. So far it's been the same, but look, if I step sideways for 5, I'm in trouble, right? Why would this work if I was enclosed? Because I could step sideways if I was enclosed. But if I'm in a one-hand position, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I know Megan has to step back, so I might need to change my footwork to be a good leader. That make sense? 2 more questions.
Yes. So how do you actually get the follow to flip around on the 5-6?
On the 5-6, the same way I would lead the 1-2. Exactly the same way. So if I were to lead the 1-2, and this is kind of misunderstood in a lot of cases, and there's a couple different ways to do this, and even some of the champion dancers do this differently, but this is our preferred way and the most social way. I'm connecting forward for 1, we're still connected. I'm rotating it back for 2, right? If I do this from this side, and I'm gonna step myself out of the slot, so we're just talking about my hand, I would be here, of course, right? But on 1 we're connected, we're turning the follower back for 2. There's a different theory of doing that, not as applicable to most of us. So that same concept of Megan's doing a great job of being connected. She's using the elbow, even the movement through her feet, she's staying connected as we get onto that. So that leaves me some connection to turn her back. That's the same thing I'm doing on counts 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, and this is the same walk, 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 walk. Does that make sense? Timing's a little bit off there. Wig this both out. I'm with you. But the counts 4 and 5 are the same actions. Forward, back, as the 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, and forward, back, back, and anchor step. So it's the same lead. If you're good at leading the 1, 2, it's the same thing on the 4 to 5.
A little side note in there too, followers, the leader is responsible for leading you, not for moving you. You have to move yourself. Don't make him drag you through that turn.
Mic drop. I like it. Say it again. That's great.
I don't know what I said.
The leader's responsible for leading you, not moving you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I quote my friends from Germany?
I guess. I don't know what they said.
Can't remember their names when it comes to me. Who was it joined us from Germany? Martin and Martina. Very colorful couple. They came here, they spent a week, they did a bunch of coaching. I've known their sons when I used to travel overseas and teach. And he's a very colorful guy who taught himself English off TV. And he would say in a German accent, he had a great relationship with his wife. And he would go, "Move your ass, punk."
I remember this.
"Move your ass, punk." He would say that all the time. I thought that was funny. Another question.
Can you talk through, slightly different, but basically letting go of your left hand and just leading the rest of the whip with your right?
So letting go and leading.
On 2, so 1, 2, and then.
Oh, so if we in closed position?
Yes.
Yeah, so another good skill, right? Could I lead the whole darn thing with just the right hand? 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And a lot of that's a great drill. Like, don't cheat and start here. Start literally from the beginning. Can I lead a forward, back, triple, forward and back, back, triple step? So the footwork should actually pretty much remain the same. But leaders, it's the angle of this hand. If you watch from the beginning, right? What beginning? Watch from the back, right? If I need Megan to dance forward and rotate back, I need to take this hand. See how Megan's well connected? She falls over. I need to, on 1, if you can stay right there, and dance her forward for 1, 1. There's a little bit of an internal rotation of that hand so that when I open the hand back up, she turns around. Make sense? So that's 1, 2. So I'm dancing this into myself. I'm exaggerating this so you can see, but into myself so that she'll rotate around back. Now, I have to adjust my hands, so because of my footwork where she's at, 3 and 4 should be pretty straightforward. 3 and 4. Now on 5, again on 4, I've kind of brought her into me so I can open her back up. So 4 is in, 5 is back. In for 4, back for 5. Now my hand is pretty much flat. 6, 7, and 8. So that'd be a good way if we do it from this side, right? So notice that she's got to come into me a little bit on that 1, 1, 2. I'm chicken wing to let her go back together forward, back together forward, into me again, same as the 1, 2 before. This is count 4. We flip around back for 5. That's a lot of work. A lot of chicken wing. 5, 6, 7, and 8. When I first started dancing, I used to watch the old timers, and I was a little young and cocky and pretty good. I thought I was good, but I wasn't a good leader, and I wondered why all the followers wanted to dance with the little old guys, and they kind of danced hunched over with their elbows bent, and what I realized was they were being very aware of where the follower was. They weren't so concerned about themselves, they were more concerned about where the followers were. Not an excuse for bad posture, but the awareness is the key.
Inside turn from the hustle whip. Can you talk about the lead for that and getting the hand up and over?
Can we talk about the inside turn from the hustle whip and the lead getting the hand up and over for the duck?
Outside turn? We didn't do an inside turn.
Depends how you want to define it.
They're talking about just trying to get, instead of doing the car wash whip, getting the hand to go up and over instead as a leader.
So this one here, this hand going up and over. Yeah, 2 different options. Let me show you 2 different options. The more basic option, 1, 2, 3, and 4, is just to leave this in a normal inside turn position. Boom, boom, anchor, step. We do that from the other side. And then I'll show you the cool version. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So Megan and I are both absorbing the connection with a little bit of rotation. So this makes this a standard walk, walk, inside turn, right? The other one we used to call it, we used to teach this a lot, was the big arm spin. So again, if the follower and leader are in sync in their connections, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've prepped this. Now I can drop this hand down for what I call a big arm spin, which makes it look cool. 1, 2, 3, and 4, a down, up, anchor, step. So the 2 keys for that. Number 1, the leader's footwork is going to change because of the nature of the arm. If I do it from this side so you can see a little better. We go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, if I step sideways for a big arm spin, I've got a trouble, right? Because I've stepped sideways and this is happening. So I kind of cheat. I think it's this way. I don't remember. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I cheat by stepping this way, and by cheat, that is closing the distance. 6, 7, and 8. What do you think? What's the difference for you in terms of whether you would follow the big arm spin or not? Do you have anything you think about in that hand?
No. I'm feeling, first of all, that he's taking the slack out of this arm, so it really makes me feel like I'm going to stay a little closer. But other than that, I'm just following where he's telling me to go.
So I guess the key is, and from the leader's perspective, I sometimes think the follower insists on the arm position, right? And that's not a terrible thing to do. But as we get more fluid and able to change, like literally mid-beat as we're getting more advanced, when we get here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the work has been done with the prep. Right now, Megan knows. She's felt that prep on 4. She knows she's going to turn, right? She's not stressed about the turn, so she's not hanging on tight. So whether I keep this hand up or I lower it down, it doesn't matter to her because she knows right where she's at in the pattern. And that's a good rule in terms of group classes and these types of videos. Followers, I think your foot, and we didn't actually do this here, but typically in our group class, we would cover the follower's footwork. I'm less concerned about the leader's footwork because it's the principles for the leaders, but the follower's actual footwork matters a lot more because both the Carwash Whip, the duck whip, the big arm spin are literally the same footwork for you over and over and over. My positions and leads have to change. And I see Mr. Benjamin and Emily trying to fetter out a question online. Did we get it?
No.
We didn't get it. What is it?
I'm not understanding.
We're not sure. It's
We're
okay.
not sure.
Keep going.
So if you clarify whatever question there,
They've already, Ben's tried 3 different times.
we're trying. We're trying to get you. We're trying to get you. So, quick recap. We have basic whip. Can we do the basic whip with the left hand? Can we do the basic whip with the right hand? This is a harder one. Can we do the basic whip with 2 hands, which becomes the hustle whip, using the connections with the flares of the elbow? Then the car wash whip. This is super high success because we prep the count 4. Megan reads the turn. She does the walk, walk with an anchor step, and she stays connected to me. 3 and 4, she stays connected through her arms and the anchor step. Once that's grooved, since I know it's the same footwork for the follower, it doesn't matter. I think the next easiest one is some sort of a turn where the hand stays up. Then we take the same thing with the big arm spin, where we prep the count 4. We've already grooved the turn. We take the hand down and then up, the big arm spin. And then the final one is the duck. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing. We've prepped the follower. She knows the turn's happening. This comes right from the duck workshop. Boom, we start to connect to the elbow. 6. And we need to be real chill with this coming over on the 7 and 8 so we can lead into the next thing. And we're still trying to fetter out that question.
Can you go over how to lead the turn going into the duck?
Lead the turn going into the duck. So
Yes.
same duck we just did. Cool. So lead the turn into the duck. How do we lead the turn into the duck? So we talked before about the footwork to all of this from the hustle, from the car wash whip. It's been the exact same footwork for the followers. So Miss Megan's going to cover the footwork, and then we're going to talk leaders about what we do to make sure that that footwork is there. So if you do the turn footwork, whip
Yes.
with a turn.
Gotcha. So this is just a whip with an outside turn. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to turn on 5 like normal. And now we're going to turn again on 6 and then anchor around for 7 and 8. So if we
do that again, thinking about this as the leaders, right? If we have to get the follower to turn, we're going to lead a little bit more forward on the count 4, and I'll show you how to do that. But this is the footwork we're trying to get her to do.
So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn, 5, turn, 6, 7, and 8.
I'm going to do that in slow motion and exaggeration for the leaders. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's this slight prep on 4 that's going to set up the 5, 6, 7, and 8 if I'm thinking. So lead-wise, 1, 2, 3, and. There's a way connection here, right? And now on count 4, I'm giving her a little bit more forward on that left foot. This is fairly exaggerated for the sake of the camera. You wouldn't see this much in the hand necessarily. But at that point, Megan is now prepped, so she knows that there's a turn coming up with an anchor step. So that's what's going on for any whip with an outside turn. Count 4 is going to be prepped forward for the followers. 1, 2, 3, and we bow that flare in the elbow, boom. So it's just this little adjustment with my left hand going forward and allowing the right hand to go back so we can go over anchor step. So once that's grooved, then the duck becomes a piece of cake because we've already led the prep. 1, 2, 3, and boom. It's this little action here as opposed to a basic step where everything's square, where everything would be square for the whip. It's a little bit of my left side leading, my left side moving back so her right side comes forward. It doesn't work if we both don't have this connection. So that is your lead on count 4 to lead a rotation for the whip. We're still looking confused at the computer. Any other questions, gang? We're at the end of our time. I'll give you a second if you have any other questions. What's going on with you, Miss Megan?
You know, same old during COVID-19.
COVID-19 lockdown. Is this week 5 or week 6?
This is like week
We're lost. I think we're
6?
week 6.
Maybe 7?
If you guys are following along, our schedule is out for next week. I will be gone for some of the week, most of the week. So Miss Megan and Mr. Ben are going to be here. I think we have a special guest. Do we have that confirmed? Not confirmed. We're still working on a special guest for our Q&A on Saturday, but stay tuned for that. If we have someone announced, we will put it on westcoastswingonline.com/live.
Taking your hand over your head in the Carwash Whip instead of letting her do a free spin.
Taking my hand over my head on the Carwash Whip instead of her doing a free spin.
Adds a turn.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Or maybe this one.
This one.
Either way, I was right.
Oh, boom. Yeah, so welcome to West Coast Swing, where you can just make stuff up. If you're in a position, you can get there. So again, regardless of which one I would do, and we'll cover both of those, the key really is the lead on to count 4 to set up the turn. Because at that point, Megan's going to do the turn, hopefully, as stress-free as she would do this one. And then as the leader, if I know where she's going to be on counts 4, 5, and 6, right? I know she's count 4 is forward, count 5 is back, count 6 is facing away from me, 7 and 8. If that's confusing, rewatch the whole video again. So because I know where she's at, 1, 2, 3, and 4, then I can just make choices. Okay, she needs to go back. I'm going to lead with my left hand. I want to stay connected with that left hand. I lead her back, right? Then she needs to be forward. And then we need to turn around and anchor to face each other. And so I said this before, where my feet go doesn't matter. As we get higher level in the patterns, we for sure teach footwork, like this is where I need to go. But depending upon how the move develops between the partnership, we have to be able to adjust as leaders. Less so as the follower. Followers, as you get better, you for sure will be able to adjust through certain patterns. But the more that your basic fundamental turns are clear, the better off we are. So if we take the left hand over, 1, 2, 3, and there's the prep. Now, outside turn with the left, we're going to go left hand. I'm going to go 5, right? then this hand is going to be here on 6. 6. So I have to adjust myself through, and then I face my partner on the anchor. If I were to take my right hand through, 1, 2, 3, there's my prep. She's got to be backwards on 5, so that's where that hand needs to be. This hand now needs to be over here on count 6, so this is a lot of work for me. 6, so where I step is going to be based upon where this hand needs to be for her. Anchor, step. We do it from the other side or same side. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can kind of see where I stepped on 6 was way different than the other ones because of where she needs to be and which hand I'm stuck with. 5. On 6, she's going to be over there, so I need to go all the way through to count 6 and then anchor 7, 8. Can we freeze on 6 for us? 1, 2, 3, and 4 is forward. 5, that's just like the car wash whip, but now I have a lot of work to do. I got to go up and over for count 6 because that's that foot there, and then I can use that for an over rotation to a duck, to a pulse, to another duck, to another pulse, to a rotation, to a dip. Any other questions? I've done enough videos. I'm going stir crazy. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. We've got some awesome emails from everyone. There's some really cool ones. I don't know if you saw today that just came in recently before we came here.
I did not.
Super nice stuff, and we are so excited to be doing this. We should hopefully continue this until lockdown ends for us here in Louisville, Kentucky, which apparently will be as early as May 25th. So in that case, we will revert back to our move of the week, which if you guys do not get, go to westcoastswingonline.com, and your email address on the front page. You'll get a free membership with 50 free videos to our site. We have West Coast, two-step, nightclub, cha-cha, East Coast, soon waltz. So you get 50 free videos there. You'll also be on our Move of the Week email list where we send out cool patterns every week via email. Also helpful stuff. Those of you guys on the email list got like our How to Practice Alone blog where we cobble together some really cool, helpful tips on how to practice alone, but there's really cool stuff. So thanks guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks Mr. Ben, Miss Emily, Miss Megan, and we'll see you guys again live Friday night. See you guys.